Hi, friends. I haven't got a clue what to say, but I don't have a written journal up and ready, so I'm just going to wing it and we'll see where it goes. It's been real up and down for me of late, and we only have so much control over such things. I don't really think emotions are a good thing to try to repress or suppress. Um, you know, it's love that will prevent you from blasting someone else with your emotions. So I don't really see that as control. I see that as love. It's really a good space to be in to take responsibility for the self and to know you're in charge of your life and there are no external things which can make you do diddly squat. We always have charge of our attitude. We don't necessarily have charge of what comes our way, but how we receive it and whether we react knee-jerk wise or respond, and how we feel about things. So much of it's all based on our beliefs. And so to me that's the rich ground for the gardening work, for if you want to shift your life, to do it inside where your beliefs are based. For a lot of us, so much of what we used to believe is falling away. Whatever icons or idols we held, whatever things we looked up to have mostly, crashed and burned. I used to be very red, white, and blue. I was military, and my whole family line back as far as we can find them. I mean, we had people on both sides of the Civil War. We've always been patriotic, but now that the powers that were are so fully exposed for their very dark dealings and their self-interest over not only future generations, but these days even the people alive now, there's just no care and concern. It's how can I enrich myself? How can I feather my nest? So we've lost faith in outer things to a great extent. And coming in on the heels of that, I hope we are gaining faith in the within. The without can crash and burn. You and I are eternal. I love the way when people cross over and they share their NDE experience, their near-death experience, how they look and they see that, oh my gosh, that lifetime that I thought was so long, it's just the blink of an eye, relatively speaking. It depends on our perspective. It depends on what angle of view we choose to take, doesn't it? And so, from the higher dimensional view, things are so much better. I mean, it's all truly beautiful. And it can begin to be seen as everything is the divine manifestation. And the mind will probably never understand this. And it doesn't need to, Its realm is 3D. I know we've got higher mind. I can't say I know the configuration of it or anything else about it. It's just that, like everything else in 3D, the mind is just a reflection, a backwards image of what the true mind is. Those of us that have had any sort of interest in ETs or EDs, extra dimensionals, just beings from elsewhere, it's interesting. We learn and we experience that some of them have taken mental development to great extremes and become beyond genius and giants mentally. And yet it can also be seen that that kind of development doesn't necessarily include spiritual development, ethical development. It's only too obvious with, for instance, the powers that be that are running the show here, that ethics is sorely lacking. But those in some of the next up higher dimensions can put on a good show, as if they're a great light being and all that kind of thing. And maybe like me, you've discovered it ain't necessarily so. Technological development, mental development just isn't important next to soul or spiritual development. It won't bring you happiness. It won't bring you the joy. It just won't take you there unless it marches hand in hand with the soul development. And so if I had to note what were the obvious hallmarks of a light being, or of someone pretending to be a light being, or pretending to a greater light than what they truly are, I would say with the light beings, it's a sense of joy, love, and compassion. And with the others, it's arrogance. There's a brittleness, and if you pursue it at all, and if you're at all psychically sensitive, you'll run into an arrogance that it's shocking. It's shocking. We can't really identify with them the way we can with the rest of life that's incarnate here, because their arrogance is just off the charts. And it doesn't have the governor on it that spirituality would offer. I find even with the higher beings, humility might not be the right word. I don't have a better one. It's divine. There's a divine sort of a humble attitude. They know they're not better than you, and they don't presume to be. And they have such a high regard and respect, not just for you, but your free will, your ability to choose. They don't want to take away your challenges, because that's what helps make us. The refiner's fire, if you will. You're not going to get the purity of the gold absent that fire. And so maybe we're in the fire bath. I don't know. It seems hard at times. It really does. It's not. Again, it's relative. It's in what perspective we take on it. And I'm not saying just because you have a difficult feeling come up that you want to run to the higher dimensions so you can look on it there and see how pretty it is, and that's BS. That's the mind. Once again, any kind of escapism will tend to be the mind trying to wiggle out of something. It doesn't even want to sit still, for heaven's sake. It doesn't want to shut up long enough for you to meditate. So, we have our challenges built in here, but it's nothing we didn't know about when we volunteered for this. So, I take a great deal of comfort in so many things, not the least of which is the invisibles that surround each and every one of us, that are with us always, in support of us, light beings for sure. And they don't need any recognition, they don't need any pats on the back, they don't need any thanks. They're knowing that to help us is to help themselves, and to help themselves is to help us. I mean, it's all one. There's this behavior that has in it the awareness that I am that. It's the these eyes God thing. These eyes through which I hoped to see God are the eyes through which God sees me. And so all I look upon is me. And it's God looking upon God. And it's beautiful beyond imagination. It really is. And there's just so much comfort. We've been given so many threads of connection to the higher dimensional perspective, such as the knowledge that time as we experience it here isn't the case. This is just light has been so slowed down in its frequency as to appear to be solid, as to manifest to where it can be, seen and sensed with the physical senses, but it's still light. The Sacred Sarah newsletter just came out, and she made such a beautiful point that we think of the light body, or we tend to think of it as something perhaps separate from us, something we're becoming, not something we are. And we think so we look at this separation between the physical being and the light being, and there is no separation. This is light too. It's just got a slower frequency, but it's 100% light. That's all it is, vibrating at a lower frequency. Frequency control, is on the horizon, my friends. Our ability to traverse the frequencies and to use our free will to do it is very much a part of what's going on from what I see. There are those who still sleep, the sleeple. I won't call them sheeple. I don't think we're so easily led anymore. I think it's easy enough to look around and see the rebellion here and there, the Wall Street sit-in kind of a thing, and people aren't lining up to receive what the government's dishing out anymore. It's just not, it's not trusted, and well, it shouldn't be. For those who still trust, okay, that's their walk, folks, and let's let them have it. Nobody needs to try to take control of anybody else. That's really important. Besides, we're whole and complete. What need have we to be messing with someone else's reality? Sure, that's another aspect of us, but that's another free will there too, and that deserves to be respected. Okay. Have I said myself out? Well, the answer I get is no. What else is to be said? I don't know. I'm close to tears a lot of times lately. Very up and downy. I'm going for acupuncture treatments now. The VA has started to offer that, and based on the levels of pain in this body, there's some hope that it might make a difference. Well, whether it does or not, I believe in it. and its ability to help the chi, the energy flow. And so I'm delighted to be doing that. And remember the cleansing response. So often, as they say, the darkness is before the dawn. We're divine. There's nothing, literally nothing, that can come from any quarter, any dimension, anything that is overwhelming to us. We are source. And it's not a mental thing at all. The mind must leave this alone, because the result of that would only be arrogance. You know, source is source. And there's not something separate from source here that is trying to take credit. There's no separation. It's just source. And that can be sensed and felt. There won't be an understanding. There doesn't need to be. When there needs to be an understanding, it will be there. Meanwhile, as we change our ideas and our attitudes this way, we're plugging in deeper and deeper and deeper into what is. We're recognizing our own divinity in the grass, in the birds, in the sky, in the bugs, in the whatever. There's an awesomeness, a beauty that's all around. And there are levels of communication going on that we haven't been tapping into. Just like the animals and the birds can commune among themselves, and we don't seem able yet to plug into their language, their ability to do that. Well, let's get rid of that belief. We are source, and vibrations and frequencies are on the rise, and it's the wind under our wings. It's buoying us up and enabling us, empowering us to dump and drop every sense of limitation of any kind. And you have to deal with some cognitive dissonance for who knows how long. I don't know. Because the mind just doesn't get it, and the mind says, oh no, but look at this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. You know? There's a real empowerment that comes when you can ignore the mind and just realize it's doing the best that it can with the information that it has. It just doesn't have the full score, you know? It only has the violin parts, and it doesn't have the rest of the orchestra. That's in your DNA, that's in your heart. And the light being that you are. I mean, just think. You're manifest. All there is now. Everything is simultaneous. And so you're manifest in all of your lifetimes right now. Now, what kind of a being would it take to be able to accomplish that, to carry that off? And what kind of chaos would it be if you had the full access to that as the one that you are here now? To all the rest of that. You know, talk about schizophrenic to the nth degree. And so we remember as it's appropriate, as we're ready. How ready we are, that too depends on us. What's our attitude about all of this? What's our willingness to let things go and move on, you know? Not to leave 3D, not to leave Earth, but to let attachments to things go and move on from that. Okay, now I feel much better about what's been said. And it feels good too that it's the first live video that I've done in some time. You just reach a certain level of, it's not disgust with things, but it's just like, oh shit, what the heck? What does it matter? What's so important? You know, just do it. Okay. talk to you again soon. Namaste. P.S. Not that it matters much, since this is going to be at the end of the video, but YouTube has been giving me fits with this. YouTube is updating your account dialog box, which it doesn't matter how many times you answer it, it does no good. It just keeps coming back and stopping you from doing what you're trying to do. So I hope I'll be able to get this up soon, but if it takes a while, hang in, this too shall pass.